Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to yet another super amazing session on the chapter Mineral Nutrition, Plant Physiology, chapter lecture number 3. And in today's class, we are going to discuss about two important topics, that is a mechanism of absorption and nitrogen fixation. Okay, so in the last class, we have studied about the different mineral elements, like what are the macronutrients, what are the micronutrients, along with in lecture number 2, we discussed about the toxicity, deficiency, what are the functions of each of the macro and micronutrients. I hope you might have revised the topic and have done the MCQs of the same. You may hear the sounds from the temple since some festivals are happening. The chants, you can hear the sound, so please listen in the class. Okay, so today we are going to discuss two important topics, that is how the minerals are going to get absorbed by the plants and about a brief idea about the topic of nitrogen fixation. Okay, so let's get into the class. Yes, everyone. So let's get started. So the first topic that we are going to discuss today is how the mineral elements are absorbed, how they are absorbed. Okay, so let's start it. That is, first of all, we have to study that absorption means how the minerals are getting into the plants or how they are taken by the plants. In the chapter transport in plants, you have studied there only. That is, there are two different types of pathway, that is apoplastic pathway and symplastic pathway. Okay, this is the what? Symplastic pathway. Okay, symplastic pathway, and this is the apoplastic pathway. So there itself we have studied about these two things. So let's now discuss what are these two things. So it'll come to this slide after we discuss with this. Okay, so apoplastic pathway means it is a first phase of transport or absorption, whereas symplastic pathway means it is a second phase or phase 2. Apoplastic pathway is a passive mechanism of absorption, whereas symplastic pathway is an active mechanism of absorption. Here no ATP required, here ATP required since it is an active process. And also apoplastic pathway is a fast or rapid process, even though symplastic pathway is active, it is slow. So apoplastic pathway and symplastic pathway. We'll discuss what is apoplastic and what is symplastic pathway. Okay, so we'll check into this diagram after we complete the first slide. Listen, the first phase, what is the first phase? It is the apoplast. An initial rapid uptake of ions into the free space or the outer space of the cell by passive process. What is it? Those ions which are present outside, that have to be transferred into this inner space. This is the inner space. Okay, towards this particular matrix or to this space, not towards the inner part, into the free space or the outer part. Okay, that means inside the cell which has two parts. I'll tell you once again, I'll tell you the same. That is, the ions are scattered over here. Okay, the ions from this outer region, it is transferred into the outer region of a cell. Okay, this is the inner region of the cell, and this orange, dark orange color is the outer region. So an initial rapid uptake of ions into the free space or the outer space of the cell is referred to as the phase 1 or the passive absorption or the apoplastic pathway. Whereas in the second phase, what is the second phase? It is a symplastic. So the ions which have been accumulated, over here, it is transported towards the center or towards the inner part of the cell. It is slowly taken into the inner space by the symplastic pathway. So here I will show you the image, the importance of. Okay, so the first diagram means the ions are present in the outer matrix. From there, they are taken rapidly by passive process towards this space, the outer space of the cell. Whereas in case of symplastic pathway, the ions are over in the outer space of the cell itself. So from there, they are actively absorbed into the inner matrix or inner space of the cell. So you just have to study what is passive process, what is active process. Just study these two definitions, what is the first phase and what is the second phase. Nothing in detail from this slides. Okay, the most important part of this chapter is the lecture number 1 about the macro and micronutrients. Which of these we have done the questions also. And the second session, what are the functions of the same, chlorosis, necrosis, what are the mineral ions responsible for those disorders. And in lecture 3, I'll be telling you about the nitrogen fixation, from where the questions are mainly asked for the exam. And lecture 4 completely is very important. It will be a short session, but it's very important. So the movement of ions into the cell usually occurs through ion channels. Either they'll occur through ion channels or by the transmembrane protein, that is selective pores present on the surface of the cell, and the entry or exit of ions from the apoplastic pathway by an active process. So these are the major processes or process by which the ions moves into the cell or ions move outside the cell. Okay. Okay. So next is how, or 3 terms that we have to study. 3 terms that we have to study is the movement of the ions. That is, ions simply move. Let it be from inside to outside or from outside to inside. You will call the movement of ions as flux. What is it? F-L-U-X, flux. Okay. Whereas the inward movement of the ions into the cell is called influx, and outward movement is called efflux. That terms you might be knowing. That is, there is a term which is flux, which denotes the movement of ions. The movement of ions inwards is influx. And the movement of exit of ions, you will call them as efflux. So 2 terms, influx and efflux. So movement of ions into the cell is the influx and the other one is the efflux. Clear? Yes. Next is the translocation of solute. There is nothing important, that's why going a bit fast. Mineral salts are translocated through xylem along with the ascending stream of water, which is referred to as the transpirational pull. Studied in the chapter Transport in Plants. Right, transport in plants, first chapter of plant physiology. I've studied this topic. Analysis of the xylem sap shows the presence of mineral salt in it. And how the translocation of solutes were found out by Arnon and Stout. Okay, A-R-N-O-N, Arnon and Stout. Using radioactive isotope of phosphorus. There have, in the slide itself, it have been mentioned using radioactive minerals, but they found out using radioactive isotope of phosphorus, P32. You have to study Arnon and Stout and radioactive isotope of phosphorus in your textbook. They have simply given you using the radioactive isotopes or radioisotopes of the mineral element. And which is that mineral element? It is the phosphorus. When we discussed about the nutrients function and all, we discussed that in the very firstly, we discussed about nitrogen. And we told that nitrogen is the mineral element which is required in the greatest quantity. So that we are discussing about the nitrogen fixation in detail about in this chapter. So what are the topics that we have studied right now or in today's class? About the mechanism of absorption of elements. 2 types are there, that is the apoplast and the symplast. You just take a screenshot of the slide and just study whatever is given in this slide and the other slide. I have given you the comparison. Just remember this diagram, that's about. You can write the definition if it is asked for your exam as well. Okay. And you have to study about the movement of the ions is called flux. If it is inward, then it is influx. And if it is outward or exit, then you will call them as the efflux. Okay. And about this translocation of the solutes by using the radioactive isotopes of mineral elements of phosphorus, 32. Next, about the soil. So we have been discussing about this for a long time in this chapter. So you all know from where the plants are getting these minerals. It might be from the water that we pour or from the extra nutrients that we add. As a reservoir of the essential elements, we can find out the soil, right? In the soil, you will find the minerals. Harbors nitrogen fixing bacteria and microbes. Just hand to hand, shake hands between the nitrogen fixing microbes, roots of higher plants, between two microbes or roots of leguminous plants, right? So in this chapter itself, you will have to learn about the nodule formation that happens in the root nodules of leguminous plants or legumes such as pea, beans and all. It holds water and supplies air to the nutrients. So very attractive slide. Soil as a reservoir, it will supply minerals. It will provide the places for harboring the nitrogen fixing bacteria and microbes. It holds water required for the plants and it supplies air to the roots of the plant as well. Next, about the most important topic of this chapter, which is the nitrogen fixation. Okay, so nitrogen fixation from in this today's class, the topic from over here, it's very, very, very important. You will get a question from mineral nutrition, 2 or 3 questions, from which one question will be from this area itself. So listen very carefully. So I'll tell you, nitrogen, what is actually nitrogen? Nitrogen you'll always represent as N2 molecule. How is N2 molecule formed? N2 molecule is formed by forming 3 bonds between 2 nitrogen atoms, right? So 3 different bonds. That is, a triple bond is formed between 2 nitrogen atoms in order to get N2 molecule. Clear? So that is what is mentioned there. Nitrogen exists as 2 nitrogen atoms or as a nitrogen molecule, which is joined by a very strong triple covalent bond. Joined by a triple covalent bond. Nitrogen fixation can be non-biological or it can be biological. So nitrogen fixation can be biological or non-biological. Biological can be non-symbiotic or it can be symbiotic as well. So guys, what is actually nitrogen fixation? Nitrogen fixation means the nitrogen, it is existing as N2 molecule. So this N2 molecule is fixed and it is converted into another compound, another useful compound, that is ammonia, NH3. Converted into NH3 or ammonia, that process you will call them as what? Nitrogen fixation. Very important. In this chapter, every NEET aspirant will get confused with all these terms or terminologies of this chapter. So nitrogen fixation means, what is actually nitrogen fixation? It means conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia. It's known as nitrogen fixation. So nitrogen fixation can be achieved by 2 ways, that is a biological nitrogen fixation and the biological or non-biological nitrogen fixation. You must study it very carefully. What is nitrogen fixation? Conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia. So let's discuss about in detail about the abiological or non-biological nitrogen fixation. Non-biological nitrogen fixation means, what is actually non-biological? Non-biological means it can be by lightning, or by UV radiation, right? So lightning and UV radiation provide enough energy to convert nitrogen into nitrogen oxide such as NO, NO2 or N2O. So simply by atmospheric, by some microbes that you also will study from where the questions will mainly come. Which microbes helps in the transformation of atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia? Which helps in the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia, ammonia into nitrites, into nitrates? How is it back converted? Which microbe or what is that process? Or these are the type of questions that you have to expect. So simply that is coming under, that is biological agents are required. So that will come under the biological nitrogen fixation. Here you will learn about the abiological nitrogen fixation. That is either by lightning or by the ultraviolet radiation or by the solar energy or whatever. You will find that that is, it contains a lot of energy which is essential, which is actually necessary to convert nitrogen into nitrogen oxides. Okay, industrial combustions by Haber's process or forest fire or automobile exhaust, they are also sources of atmospheric nitrogen oxides. Okay, either you can have, so in your NCERT it have been mentioned like electrical nitrogen fixation, industrial nitrogen fixation. What is it? Electrical nitrogen fixation. How is electrical nitrogen fixation happening? Either by lightning or by ultraviolet radiation. Fixation by lightning or by the UV radiation. And the other one is industrial. Other one is industrial fixation. Industrial nitrogen fixation. How is it happening? Either by the Haber process. What is Haber process? The process used for the synthesis, industrial manufacture of ammonia, or by the forest fire, or the things happening inside the environment. Is this clear? Next, we are moving on to the biological nitrogen fixation, which are of two types, asymbiotic and symbiotic nitrogen fixation. What is it? Symbiotic nitrogen fixation or abiotic, or what is asymbiotic nitrogen fixation. Okay, yes. So let's discuss in detail about the biological nitrogen fixation. The first, we have to discuss about a few things. That is, biological nitrogen fixation happens with the nitrogen fixing microbes. Nitrogen fixing microbes, and those nitrogen fixing microbes could be free living, that is, they can exist freely, or by symbiotic association. Okay, so you have to study what are the examples of free living nitrogen fixing microbes and about the symbiotic nitrogen fixing microbes. PYQ at least 5 to 6 times. 5 to 6 times nearly asked questions. Examples of free living nitrogen, you have to study this by heart, each and every terms in that line. Examples of free living nitrogen fixing aerobic microbe. What is it? You have to study this term, free living nitrogen fixing, but it is an aerobic microbe. What are it? Acetobacter and Beechernichia. What is it? Acetobacter and Beechernichia. Free living anaerobic bacteria, Rhodospirillum. Rhodospirillum, it is spiral shape, right? So Acetobacter and Beechernichia are free living aerobic, whereas Rhodospirillum is an anaerobic free living bacteria. Whereas free living nitrogen fixers are also found among the cyanobacterian group, which is Anabaena and Nostoc. Anabaena and Nostoc are also free living nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay, so in the question paper in the NEET exam, you may find a question like, which among the following is an anaerobic free living bacteria which helps in nitrogen fixation? Acetobacter, Beechernichia, Anabaena, Rhodospirillum. Which is the answer? Rhodospirillum. So Acetobacter and Beechernichia are free living aerobic nitrogen fixing bacteria. Rhodospirillum is an anaerobic free living bacteria. Clear? Whereas Anabaena and Nostoc are nitrogen fixing bacteria. Examples of nitrogen fixing bacteria itself. I think we completed the slides, right? Yes. I thought we missed some slides in between. That's why I went backward. Okay. So guys, this is the root nodules. In case of leguminous plants, you will find, in case of leguminous plants, inside the roots, you will find small nodules like this, which helps in the process of nitrogen fixation, The most prominent symbiotic biological symbiotic biological nitrogen fixing association is the legume bacteria relationship. Species of Rhizobium. What is Rhizobium? It is a rod-shaped bacteria. Rhizobium, rod-shaped symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacterium. It's a Rhizobium, it's not Rhizopus. Don't get confused between Rhizopus and Rhizobium. It is Rhizobium. Several roots of leguminous plants such as alfalfa, sweet clover, sweet pea, lentils, garden pea, broad bean, clover beans. So you have to study inside the roots of leguminous plants. Almost majority of the leguminous plants, you will find what? The relationship, the most prominent symbiotic relationship in the world, that is the biological nitrogen fixing relationship between a leguminous plant and a bacteria. Clear? Yes. Next, about the examples of symbiotic biological nitrogen fixation, that is the Frankia. Frankia also produces nitrogen fixing nodules on the roots of non-leguminous plants, example Alnus. Okay, inside the root nodules of Alnus, what happens? The microbe known as Frankia will produces nitrogen fixing nodules. So not only in the leguminous plants, but also in plants such as Alnus, special type of microbes such as Frankia will form nitrogen fixing nodules like this. Look, how is it? How wonderful is each and everything? Yes. Yes. The most common association on roots is as the root nodules. Nodules are nearly spherical outgrowths on the root having a symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. So guys, these are all root nodules. Enlarged image. I have enlarged the image for you. Okay, enlarged image of the root nodules. Rhizobium in leguminous plants, right? Rhizobium in leguminous plants, Frankia in non-leguminous plants such as Alnus. They both are free living in the soil, but only as symbionts can fix atmospheric nitrogen. If we cut, actually from the leguminous roots of leguminous plants, if we cut the particular root nodule, we'll have a central pink portion, which is referred to as the leg hemoglobin. So guys, leg hemoglobin came as a question for the previous NEET exams. So leg hemoglobin is actually, the other term is oxygen scavenger. What is it? Oxygen scavenger. That is, it will protect the root nodules from oxygen activity. Okay. Oxygen activity. We'll discuss about that. Okay. Wait, let me check whether is it there. Yes. Listen very carefully. Leg hemoglobin acts as oxygen scavenger. It protects the nitrogenase enzyme from the activity of oxygen. Clear? Very important. So leg hemoglobin is actually a pigment which is present in the central portion, which is pink in color, present along the central portion or the matrix of the root nodules of the plants that help in the process of protecting the nitrogenase enzyme from oxygen. Another enzyme is the nitrogenase enzyme, which helps in the process of nitrogen fixation. It is actually a compound of molybdenum and iron protein together. It catalyzes the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia. Okay. So name the enzyme or name the enzyme that converts atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia. It is a molybdenum iron protein. Molybdenum iron protein, which is referred to as the enzyme nitrogenase. Is it clear? So two enzymes, leg hemoglobin and the nitrogenase enzyme. Clear? So this pink color portion indicates the leg hemoglobin. Next, guys, the root nodules. How? Now you may be wondering, how can the nodules be formed, or how it is formed, how the nodules are formed. So that is what we are going to discuss, how they are establishing. First of all, guys, this is the root. Right now, there will be certain terms which may not be understandable for you because we haven't studied the chapter anatomy of flowering plants. So guys, this is the root nodules. It's not nodules, this is the root or root hair. Okay. Root hair, and this is a soil particle. So besides this root hair, you will find the bacteria lying up. Am I right? So let me enlarge the image for you so that it can be perfectly visible for you. Okay, everybody, I hope right now you can see it very, very clearly. Yes. So guys, this is a root here, and besides a root here, you will find a bacteria, right? So the bacteria will attack this particular root hair. And what happens? The root hair will call. The root hair will start calling like this. So this is the image A. This is the image B. So the bacteria, due to the attack of the bacteria, or due to the action of the bacteria, the root hair starts curling inwards like a hook formation happens. Okay, like a hook formation happens over there. So from the hook formation, what happens? Through this, the bacteria will start forming an infection thread. A thread like the bacteria will start entering into the cortex. So inner cortex and pericycle cells are under division. What is pericycle? What is cortex? We'll study in the upcoming classes in the anatomy chapter. Clear? So this is the infection thread containing the bacteria. And finally, how? A root nodule, a mature root nodule. This root will convert itself into a ball-like structure, which is a root nodule. Am I clear for everybody? So how is it happening? Firstly, you will have the recognition of the host and its attachment. That is, it will recognize the roots of the plant. Then an infection needle, that is a bacteria, will start attacking, and the root hair will call itself to form a hook-like structure. From there, the bacteria produces an infection thread through which the bacteria will be transformed into the inner parts of the root, such as the cortex and the pericycle. And finally, you will have a mature nodule is formed. Clear? So look, recognition of the host and its attachment into the roots, invasion, and finally the nodule formation. Clear? And this is the slide that we have already discussed about the nitrogenase enzyme, the leg hemoglobin. So guys, just take a screenshot of this. This diagram can be asked, but not so important because it's mainly coming under the chemistry portion. Okay, this is actually how an atmospheric nitrogen is converted into ammonia by the nitrogenase enzyme. But just pay attention towards this equation: N2 plus 8 electrons plus 8H plus 16 ATP, giving 2NH3 plus H2O plus 16 ADP plus 16 inorganic phosphate. Just pay attention towards this equation. Sometimes this can be a question for your examination by asking you to balance the equation. Okay, so that's all in this chapter. In next class, we'll be discussing about what steps in nitrogen fixation and what is the fate of the ammonia, not ammonia, the amino acid which has been formed. So what are it? Nitrogen fixation by the nitrogenase enzyme. What is nitrogenase and what is leg hemoglobin? Establishment of symbiosis were the topic that we discussed towards the end of the class. So thank you guys. See you in the next class with yet another session on nitrogen fixation steps along with the fate of ammonia. Thank you everyone.